Homeland Security. I need you to understand something, okay? I need you to understand something. This is something that I've been bringing up quite a bit, okay? When these institutions drop all notion and pretext of impartiality in an effort to pursue the truth, when they become unreliable resources, all hell breaks loose. The reason why people are less invested or less ready to believe whatever the fuck the FBI says or the DHS says now more than ever is because they see the Department of Homeland Security from that same fucking account post Pokemon memes. Okay? When you do that, when you become an unserious agency, how the fuck do you expect people to take you seriously? This is incredibly destabilizing. Okay? I am no liberal by any means. You know this already. One of the things that I criticize liberals is about the infallibility of institutions, the defense of institutions. But unironically, this is one of the problems when these fucking institutions are not actually defensible. What is this fact check? What do you mean? What? It's not like fake. Yeah, we all saw it. What are we talking about? Why does this require a fucking fact check? Homeland Security posted a video featuring Pokemon theme song where they made the individuals that they're detaining and apprehending, they made them out to be like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. What are we talking about? When you do stuff like that, or when you're Kash Patel and you are a patently unserious person in broad fucking daylight and you come out with information like this, people are obviously not going to be immediately, they're just not going to believe you. You become an unbelievable person. Every time you do fucked up shit like this, you become less believable. In the eyes of even Republicans, as a matter of fact, this is part of the reason why even Republicans are like, maybe it was Israel that killed Charlie Kirk, and they don't even fucking believe the FBI. This is what happens when you're unprofessional. This is what happens when you are openly biased. This is what happens when you reveal fake information or false information without actually taking this investigation seriously. I'm using the Tyler Robinson case because that was a major issue for the FBI. That was a major issue for the Department of Homeland Security as well. And these guys seemingly post like there's no tomorrow. They don't give a fuck. They have made a joke out of all of these agencies. And the same goes for lying as well, like flagrantly lying. This kind of stuff makes a mockery of the seriousness of these institutions, the seriousness of these agencies. It robs them of the credibility that they need to have so that there is like some semblance of authority when they speak. But then also on top of that, they routinely fucking lie. Like, for example, that same account lied and claimed, the Department of Homeland Security account, lied and claimed that there was no 5-year-old that was detained while agents were attempting to arrest their father. They said it was gross. It was gross to lie about this. It's on camera. It's quite literally on fucking camera, dude. So when you do that, when you just lie like this about immediately verifiable information, you turn into Israel. Nobody believes anything that Israel fucking says. Nobody trusts Israel. That didn't happen due to unlimited anti-Semitism. That happened because Israel kept fucking lying so flagrantly and so openly about things that we could fucking see with our own 2 eyes that now, whenever an Israeli envoy says anything, I assume the exact opposite. And many Americans do as well. Many people around the world do as well. There is a healthy amount of skepticism that you develop when you openly bastardize the unimaginable influence that you have as a position of authority. If you're using the position of authority to just fucking lie all the time, people are going to be like, I don't trust you. Even your own fans, even people who are on your side ostensibly, are going to not trust you. And we saw this with the example of Tyler Robinson. The FBI made a mockery of the agency by having Kash Patel speak on all of this shit And now nobody even trusts the FBI when the FBI says, oh, yeah, well, I don't know who the shooter is, or the shooter's background is this or that. And now people think, no, it's actually Israel. Fuck you. Those are not my people who say that. Those are not, anti-fascists or leftists who say that. Those are right-wingers who are saying that. Those are people who love Donald Trump who are saying that now. Good luck. What the consequence of being untrustworthy if they have all the power? They're just dabbing on us endlessly, and I don't know what the inevitable outcome of this is. Well, ultimately, the consequence is, whether they are intending for this to happen or not, the consequences of this are mass instability, right? Like when you lose your own side because you have lost credibility even with your own base, then no one is going to trust you. And when no one fucking trusts you, when no one at all trusts you, then you can't have authority. This creates chaos. This is the social fabric eroding in front of our eyes, okay? The social contract eroding in front of our eyes is pure chaos, pure anarchy. And not like anarchism, the political ideology. I mean like anarchy in the colloquial sense. It turns into a fucking free-for-all. These guys have treated these institutions like they're nothing, like they're just another organ of propaganda, and really silly and really stupid propaganda. And of course, a byproduct of this is going to be that people don't fucking trust them. What is the expectation? This morning, a deranged gunman attacked the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE Dallas field office from a nearby rooftop. The shooter fired indiscriminately at the ICE building, as well as at a van in the Sally Port where the victims were shot. 3 detainees were shot, 2 are deceased, and the other is in critical condition. The gunman was found with a self-inflicted gun wound. We can confirm the shell casings were found with anti-ICE messages on them. This was an attack on ICE law enforcement. This horrific attack occurred amidst the 1,000% increase in assaults against ICE.gov. Politicians and the media, pundits must stop with the vile lies and smears designed to demonize and dehumanize ICE law enforcement. This shooting must serve as a wake-up call to the far left that their rhetoric about ICE has consequences. DHS is working with partner agencies on the ground. Please join us in praying for the victim and their families. President Trump and Secretary Noem stand with the men and women of ICE. Like, they don't even give a shit. They just, it's just a talking point for them. Like, oh, pray for the victims. But also, if you fucking criticize ICE, we're coming for you. Yeah, a bunch of fucking professional victims, dude. It's like, you're being too mean to the Gestapo is a crazy statement to make, as they're engaging in mass apprehension initiatives against people that don't deserve it. It's that simple. You know what I mean? And now 2 people that don't deserve the detainment are killed. They were shot and killed. And these guys can't even fucking give them the dignity, because obviously giving them the dignity in this moment would mean that those are human beings. And if you actually recognize that those are fucking human beings that were unjustly being detained in this regard, in this way, then obviously it kind of blows the lid on the entire ICE operations, right? All of a sudden you're like recognizing the humanity of these victims. Then people are going to start asking the question, why the fuck are you detaining them then? What have they done? And I don't know what crimes these people had done in this circumstance. But what I do know is that the overwhelming majority of people that are being detained are not being detained because they've done heinous crimes, but they're simply being detained because the administration wants to prove to the most racist people in their base of support that they're doing something. That's it. They are simply pawns, easily discarded for a message. And it's interesting because that message has not been received positively by the broad subsects of American society. People who have seen this are now turning around and saying, I don't like this. Why are you arresting these people? You lied to me. You told me that these guys were all like rapist pedophiles, and the guys you're arresting are my fucking neighbors. They didn't do shit. Donald Trump is underwater on his immigration agenda. It was his most popular policy. And now he is underwater on immigrant apprehension. No thanks, JD. I will not be going straight to hell today, though when I watch you speak, I certainly feel like I'm already there. Oh, God, with these dunks. Anyway, yeah, here's JD Vance also using this as an opportunity to continue the anti-left rhetoric to try to say like, oh, it's the left that is doing this. We have to stop them. Where do you think it will go? Where do you think this will go, for the record? This is going to inevitably lead to the administration taking action, okay? The administration taking action against any sort of political dissent.
And while we're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility, and as far as we know, it looks like some of the detainees, in other words, some of the potential illegal aliens, were some of those who were affected. Look,
he can't even, see, this is what I mean. He can't even recognize the humanity of those who were apprehended, who were shot and killed. Because if he does, then all of a sudden, it leads people to question why they're doing this. Why are you doing this to regular humans? You should be doing this to violent, barbaric, rapist monsters, not regular human beings. Do you understand?
just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack.
Praying for our ICE agents again. But also maybe the detainees as well, who are illegal aliens. Like, if calling a right-winger a fascist for demonstrating fascist ideology is violent rhetoric, what is calling a fucking detained person who was just slain an illegal alien? What is that? Words or violence doesn't go in one direction only. It goes in both directions. But these guys want to maintain whatever kind of violent, dehumanizing rhetoric they want to fucking engage with. And then when you say that that violent and dehumanizing rhetoric is identical to the way that Nazis fucking operated, you go, whoa, that's words are violence. Words are violence. How dare you? At its root, and this is something that many of you have probably experienced, right? Someone says something racist, you call them out and you say, hey man, that's racist. They yell at you for calling them out. It's not the racism demonstrated by that person that's a problem. It's that you are calling it out. You're the problem.
And while we're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility, and as far as we know, it looks like some of...
Here's the other thing that he said.
Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration.
My thoughts are the administration is doing this since there are millions of people breaking into our country illegally. You do realize that Obama and all the Dems are deporting millions as well too, right? Why does it only matter when Trump does it? Ugh. Take this to someone else that has defended the mass deportation policies of previous liberal administrations and not the one fucking guy who has been actively yelling at the Democrats for doing the exact same thing. There are plenty of people who are not morally consistent on this, okay? There are plenty of people who are hypocritical on this. I'm not one of those people. Oh my God. It doesn't make any sense because, like, imagine if you actually won this argument on the virtue of hypocrisy. Like, what argument have you won? Is it bad or is it good? What's the argument? I believe it's bad. You want to know why I believe it's bad? Because these people are not harming anyone. As a matter of fact, they're actually helping people, okay? They are literally contributing to the economy. Not that they have to, they're human beings. They simply just want a better life. There is no difference between someone, a communist, it's a glorious exposition comrade is the meme that's on the profile picture, which is another way to say, cool story, bro, right? I've never seen Aaron Rupar tweet like this. Yeah, I saw that. Even the libs are hitting this is the fishiest shit I've ever seen. Aaron Rupar is a liberal. I've never seen Aaron Rupar turn around and go, this is the fishiest shit I've ever seen. We're supposed to believe the shooter wrote anti-ICE in pen on a bullet and then shot detainees, but not ICE officers. Now, again, information in situations like this, information comes out in real time. There is obviously a lot of mass misinformation being disseminated. Okay. As far as the shooter's background goes, as far as the shooter's leanings goes, I'm sure the FBI will do everything in their fucking power to make it an associate of Antifa or anti-fascist violence or whatever the fuck they're trying to present as like the real fear that you must, or transgender people, you know what I mean? Like the real real enemies of America, right? All the while, of course, JD Vance came out hot. The obsessive attack on law enforcement, particularly ICE, must stop. I'm praying for everyone hurt in this attack, for their families. And then there was a community note. According to an ICE spokesperson, the 3 individuals shot were ICE detainees, leaving 2 individuals dead and 1 injured. No law enforcement was injured in the shooting, according to law enforcement and news reports out of Dallas, Texas. John Favreau says the vice president is not a reliable source of information. This is now the 5th or 6th time he's posted a political take contradicted by facts from his own law enforcement agencies. And then JD Vance turns around and says, the gunman had anti-ICE messages carved on the bullets he used. What precisely did I get wrong, dipshit? That's the vice president, man, beefing it out with one of the Podjons. And no, the shooter did not carve anything onto the fucking bullets, allegedly. I want to know what the other messages were on the bullets. But here is the latest statement from our deranged department. We got the fucking nutters leading the madhouse. Oh my God. What do you expect? Of course. For context, historically, specifically in Texas during the Eisenhower administration in response to Operation W Back, it was the Republican farmers who went out and ran marshals out of town. Exactly. That's what I was talking about. I literally talked about this before. I explained this throughout the election cycle to tell you how much anger and resentment builds when these kinds of mass deportation initiatives start happening. When Eisenhower did this, it was the Republican right-wing ranchers that literally would go around town in their fucking pickup trucks with weapons to hunt down marshals. Because at the time, it was the marshals that were conducting these mass deportation operations. This is before INS or ICE ever existed. There was no Department of Homeland Security, for example.
This week about mask mandates for ICE officers, a new rule proposed and put forward by Governor Gavin Newsom. Take a listen to what he said on Saturday. I want to get your response.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation.
Yeah. Again, this is what I meant when I said they're going to go after anything and everything. Gavin Newsom makes a perfectly reasonable initiative in the state of California, which demands that public servants actually follow the law, and they can't hide their identity when they're conducting these operations. There is so many good reasons for this provision to exist. Why, you might ask? Because if you have faceless, masked, armed thugs of the state that don't present their identification, that don't have to present their identification, you can have copycats. This has already happened. There are plenty of people who have been arrested for falsely presenting themselves as ICE agents to kidnap and sexually assault people. Okay? That's a real thing that has happened in America in the last fucking 9 months. These guys are public servants. They have to. They have no right to hide their identity in the process of taking away someone's liberties. Like, what are we talking about? I can't even comprehend how this has become a point of contention, that it's like, no, you have to actually shelter the public from who their IDs are. There's a reason why people's badge numbers are on their fucking chest, or used to be, right? What are we doing? What are we doing? This also protects ICE agents as well. Technically, if every single person that is supposedly acting out the way that the law is designed, right? If they're doing this lawful order, following a lawful order by the administration, there is no reason to try and hide your identity, because you're following the rules that the administration has presented. And it protects ICE agents because then people are in a country where everybody has a fucking gun. People don't immediately assume that it's a random group of people that are trying to engage in a fucking kidnapping in broad daylight. Okay? Because if you don't know that these group of masked thugs, okay, that are coming at you from an unmarked car, for example, are actually following a lawful order by the federal government, or if they're just a bunch of random psychopaths who want to kill you, if you don't know the distinction, if you don't know the difference because everyone is masked, then sometimes people are going to engage in an act of self-defense.
Saying enough. ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
How does that play into all of this when we're talking about the identities of specific individual ICE agents?
Yeah, well, I can tell you what they're afraid of. They're afraid of something that occurred today, and they're afraid of something that may happen to them or their families if they're identified. We're not talking about normal, everyday police operations where people in patrol cars or FBI agents are out there conducting, everyday activities. But when they're involved in these more contentious issues, which seem to be in certain locales more contentious than others, is they're very much concerned about their well-being and safety of themselves and their families who may come under attack. Could be everything from people showing up at their doorstep. Very easy today, a couple of clicks away, you can find out who somebody is by an image and therefore where they live. So those are the things people are concerned about. So I mean, you have to really, when the governor says that, you have to say, well, what is he then saying? He's saying that it's okay for all these people to then be further exposed because they're carrying out their duties as sworn law enforcement officers of this country, carrying out the laws have been prescribed by Congress. So, I mean, I think we have to take a look at that very sobering. The other thing, Jillian, is that, with a lot of the talk about, people having due process. Well, today, two of these people who are being just detained are denied their due process because they've been killed.
Right.
So when you flip that around, you have to say, what is really happening here when someone's willing to take not just someone's life, if the intention was to take an ICE agent's life or ICE agent's life, but also the due process of those people who are just being...
Dude, even the potential for an ICE agent's life that could be taken is an issue of higher consequence in the eyes of these people than the actual victims in this process, who were detained people that were slated for deportation. Understand that they do not even remotely give a shit about all of the people that they're detaining, so much so that they just glance beyond that point, because they can't even make that argument. They can't even say like, the poor souls that were lost here, because every rhetorical tool that they've used has been to dehumanize the people that are being detained so that people are more comfortable with this mass detention process. So they can't turn around and be like, the poor souls that were slain, the poor souls that were murdered in this process. It's like the hypothetical violence against ICE agents is more consequential for these people than the actual people that were killed. They're not real people in the eyes of Fox News, the right broadly, the administration. The people that are being deported and detained and slated for deportation are not seen as real people ever. It is crazy. How the fuck do people not realize this, man? Yeah, just a reminder that Republican candidate Valentina Gomez posted a video simulating the execution of a migrant in December. And then they turn around and they go, violent rhetoric, violent rhetoric, violent rhetoric.
Detained. They've not been convicted, and there's been no other specific allegations lodged against them, and their due process now has halted.
Yes, you have a gunman who allegedly was anti-ICE by the inscribings on the cartridges, the shell casing, and it ended up that it was detainees who died here. Exactly. You mentioned this idea of risk and danger for agents who go out there every day, and they are just merely carrying out the laws of the United States of America. We heard personally from one of them back in July on Martha's show.
If they are carrying out the laws of the United States of America, and as a law enforcement officer acting on the orders of the federal government that have unimaginable power, the power to take a life without any accountability whatsoever, the power to actually take away someone's freedom, they have to do this in a lawful manner. And a part of that is doing it in a way where you know that this person is an ICE agent. You know this person is a member of law enforcement. You know what his badge number is. You have identifiable features, and they cannot mask themselves. But as I talked about before, the way that the Trump administration is gearing to change the domestic terrorism designation, which does not exist, right? Like there are no domestic terror groups, for example. You have to be foreign funded in order to be declared a terrorist organization. But now they're trying to do Antifa. They're trying to make Antifa into an organization, even though it's not a defined organization at all. In that executive order, even demanding that an ICE agent show you identification is considered doxing. Okay? So they want to make that an act of terror. If you're in the process of being detained by an ICE agent and you turn around and say, I'm an American citizen, can you please show me identification? I don't know if you're a fucking agent or not. Who the fuck are you? That's considered doxing. That's illegal. They want to make that illegal. Understand that they are they're manufacturing outrage here. They are trying to create an environment where people are more comfortable with what the government is going to do next. They have done so for every single issue so far. They've done this with immigrants. They made it so that the only message that you ever heard was this hysteria surrounding migrants, migrant crime. Migrants are killing 300,000 people a year, 400,000 people a year. It was fucking ridiculous. It was completely made up. It was unimaginably racist at times as well. Like when they said Haitians are eating cats and dogs and shit like that. These were lawful migrants that had the proper documentation and the clearance to work on U.S. soil, by the way. They had temporary protected status. Your right was next. I'm telling you exactly what's next. They're not hiding it. They're not sheltering you from what they are going to do next. The only reason why you'd be oblivious to what happens next is if you are not paying attention, or if you're only getting your information from liberal media, from mainstream sources that are seemingly lost in the sauce, that don't understand what the fuck is actually taking place right in front of our eyes. Just like they were blinded or blindsided, either willingly or they were oblivious to this reality, to the consent that was manufactured to even start this anti-migrant mass deportation initiative. What's going to happen next is stamping out any kind of discontent. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be illegal, even though we have a First Amendment still right now that is supposed to protect this kind of lawful political expression, political demonstrations and whatnot. I'm telling you right now, they are going to make it so that it's illegal to say fuck ICE, basically. Okay? And it doesn't matter if you are a liberal or even a former Trump supporter that says fuck ICE. You are still not covered. You are still not going to be protected, because the goal here is to make that illegal, to make that expression illegal. The goal here is to basically destroy any kind of political dissent. They want to undermine and destroy the First Amendment while simultaneously presenting themselves as the protectors of the First Amendment.
Story. Her name is Selena. Listen to what she told us.
I'm very proud to say that I work for ICE, and to have to take off my polo or, hide behind so that way my family is not put in danger or my colleagues are not put in danger. And I'm very, like I said, proud to work for ICE and to have to kind of put my polo down or my badge away for, you know, for the.
At no point do these people go, maybe what we're doing is fucked up. At no point. If you're proud, why do you have to hide? Oh, it's the threats. It's the fears. Unironically, that fake narrative, that bullshit fucking narrative for law enforcement is making this environment less safe. It is an inevitability at this point that someone is going to think that they are being kidnapped by some random fucking people coming out of an unmarked car and literally exercise their fucking Second Amendment rights. They're going to try to do castle doctrine eventually. How can people not realize this? This is not like, this is like, I'm fearful of the repercussions. I'm fearful of what comes next. I don't want that to happen. All the while, we're not even considering the consequences of these kinds of initiatives. Like, not only are they unpopular, but they're not good at all. They're not for the betterment of society. Like mass deporting random people that are working in farms and mass deporting people at their court dates, outside of their court dates in the courthouse. Like, how is that good for anybody? You designed a manufactured hysteria around the supposedly violent undocumented migrants that were not being apprehended and that were not being arrested by the previous administration. This was bullshit. If someone, regardless of their documentation, commits a heinous crime, of course they were prosecuted and subsequently deported as well. It is ridiculous. They lied about every step of this process. They made it seem as though previously ICE was woke and the woke judges and the woke cops would just let people go. Fucking ridiculous. Oh, wow, you've decapitated 8 babies, but you're a Guatemalan migrant? I guess we have to let you go. Fuck. Joe Brandon is too woke. Like, what are you talking about? That's not what happened. Of course that's not what happened. We've always been a nation of laws, okay? Regardless of what people say. Sometimes it actually gets a little out of hand, as a matter of fact. And not a single fucking Democrat turned around and said, what are you talking about? Everything you're saying is a lie.
The safety of us.
You know, so she says that when she's not on the streets there doing her job, she's got to go unidentified because of the potential risk to her or her family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, video shows ICE
Exactly
with a
right,
5-year-old
John.
girl
And it all
while
ties
agents
back to
attempt
what
to
we
arrest
first
their
started speaking
father.
about.
Yeah.
You know, it's this rhetoric. It's when you know, elected officials are out there on national television saying that, you know, these ICE agents are modern day Gestapo. Well, what are you supposed to do? I mean, if somebody heard that, you know, during
What do you mean? It's true. And not only is it true, but it's also protected speech. What the fuck are we talking about? What are we supposed to say? How you do not get to dictate the way that people criticize the administration. That is goddamn un-American. What the fuck are we doing? That's not even allowed in other countries where they already have hate speech enforcements either. Like there's no nation state on the planet that isn't like a straight up dictatorship where you can't say the government is behaving like a fucking fascist administration and they just apprehend you. You know where they do that? In fucking Turkey they do that, okay? That's ridiculous. Turkey does not have a First Amendment. They don't have free speech there. It's ridiculous that in a country like the United States of America, we can't even fucking say the truth out loud anymore, where you're like, oh, sorry. It's just hurting people's feelings. It's like it's fomenting too much discontent, because at the heart of this matter is precisely that. You are making people too angry.
World War II, what are they inclined to do? They act out.
Turkey seems really based. Man, shut the fuck up. Go live there then, dumbass.
People in the fashion who are law enforcement officers of the country sworn to uphold the current laws of our country, of no, but not you know, being guided by politics here, but by the law, and they very much concerned about their safety, and it makes sense that they need to protect themselves. So You know, I hope there's superseding federal statutes that will allow for all these federal officers and ICE agents to continue to cover themselves in states like California and other jurisdictions where they need to do it.
All right, Bill, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for taking time with us on this story.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country. This is the third shooting in Texas directed at ICE or CBP. This must stop. To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis. We need to learn to work together without demonizing each other, without attacking each other. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of law enforcement. I want to say...
Wow, so brave. Thank you, Ted. So brave of you. You know, a lot of people can't say this out loud, but I want to thank the boys in the blue. Thanks, Ted.
Say thank you to the...
Yeah, also, you would think that this guy shot and killed ICE officers. He did not. He shot and killed detainees, by the way. But of course, from the way that these press conferences have been designed, you would think that this guy went and shot and killed ICE officers, ICE agents. That's not the case.
Brave men and women of ICE and CBP and everyone who puts their lives on the line to keep us safe. The divisive rhetoric tragically has real consequences. I hope that every one of us will pray, number one, for the safety of law enforcement that are risking their lives to keep us safe. Number two, for the health of those who were shot and injured today. We still don't know the full details of who was injured, but for the families also of the victims of this shooting. Violence has no place. It is wrong. And we should come together. If we want to have a debate about immigration policies, we can do so in the halls of Congress without demonizing each other, and especially without demonizing the men and women who every day put on a badge and go risk their lives to keep us safe. And we should not be...
Like, these people, I don't think regular Americans like can completely comprehend this, because like I said, like they have this idea that like state violence is a constant, it's normal, it's normalized, it's supposed to happen, right? So they don't actually perceive actions of the state as inherently violent actions, no matter how violent they may get. There are instances where some people at least recognize it as like violent actions, like when a cop straight up assassinates someone who is unarmed in broad daylight, you know what I mean? But they don't realize that like all politics is about the distribution of resources and the distribution of power. And a part of that is violence. Who gets to do it? Who gets to be the recipient of violence? Okay? Like, in theory, what we're talking about here is that when the state behaves in a violent manner, people are supposed to go, people are supposed to say, okay, that's permissible, right? That's appropriate. That is the design of the state. It's done to protect as many people as possible, right? Because the state has a monopoly on violence. When cops go in and brutalize someone, or when cops go in and even arrest someone, even someone who deserves it, that is permissible violence, right? Because you are taking away someone's freedom. You are basically shackling them for an extended period of time, if not permanently for the rest of their lives. And there are instances where that is appropriate. Okay, there are instances where that is totally appropriate. If someone's a fucking serial killer, of course it's appropriate for the cops to literally arrest them, apprehend them, detain them, put them behind bars to ensure that they don't kill again, right? But that broad analysis does not factor into all state violence. People don't look at a situation like when ICE agents are doing the same thing to people that haven't done heinous crimes, that have simply crossed the border or got a visa at some point and overextended and stayed after their visa told them to leave, basically after their visa was over, and are simply working a regular honest day's job in a field somewhere, or as a barback, or in a fucking restaurant, or in a hospitality industry. Like, those people are not doing something that justifies this level of apprehension, that justifies their freedoms being taken away from them. Those people deserve to be documented. Those people deserve to have the proper clearance to continue working inside of U.S. borders. You can say you are wrong, and that's fine, but you have to explain to me why that is bad for the overall societal good. Why is that a bad thing? Okay? This is how discourse is supposed to take place, but these guys don't want to have this conversation any longer. They just simply want to apprehend people, detain them, arrest them, deport them, rip them away from their families, rip them away from their everyday existence, and kick them off into a concentration camp elsewhere in El Salvador or in other countries that they are not familiar with at all, and just make them into people who have to do slave labor elsewhere, okay? This is completely ridiculous. Like, the crime does not match the standard of violence that the state is applying, okay? And everybody understands that reality. That's precisely the reason why Trump basically started off this conversation about mass deportations by lying about migrants, by saying that migrants were all serial rapists and bloodthirsty murderers. Okay? Because if everyone was on board with just like doing this kind of thing to their fucking neighbors, he wouldn't have to lie and say that every single Guatemalan migrant is actually doing mass rapes and mass decapitations all around the country. He wouldn't have to lie. He could just be like, they're not here legally. They need to go. We need to fucking throw them in a slave labor colony in El Salvador. Okay? A million dumb fucks on X are posting the same incorrect images of the shooter, and the poor guy is replying on his account asking them for them to stop. I don't even know what the account is that people are posting. I haven't seen more information, but I mean, the dude's name, I think, is like Joshua John or something. And obviously, that's certainly more than one person. So, of course, that's going to happen on Twitter. The shooter, of course, died. So he killed himself. And obviously, people are just redirecting their attention to whoever the fuck they see fit. Why can't they work in their country? Great question. Perhaps it is because their agricultural output is completely destroyed, for example. That could be one reason. That could be one fucking reason why they can't do that. But ultimately, you're asking this question, but you're also not presenting an argument as to why it's bad that they're working here. You're not telling me why they're somehow different than your parents that also immigrated here at a certain point. Okay? You're not. This is wrong guy's account. He dispelled some misinfo in his replies. Yeah, his username says not the ICE shooter. It seems to me like people are he's just like posting this one, Jim Hansen. I've seen some people claiming Joshua John was a furry based on a pic from his Facebook. Seems more like he was a commie since the hat matches the one on his avatar. The image on the left is prepubescent me, not the shooter, from over a decade ago. I'm not associated with the image on the right. The hat has no meaning. It's just a stupid hat I was wearing at the time. Delete this post. Will they delete that post? Probably not.
Putting language out there that inspires madmen to commit evil crimes. Our prayers are with the men and women of law enforcement And we ought to come together and have some decency across the political aisle to say this violence is wrong and it needs to stop.
Senator, have you been told that immigrant detainees were the victims of today's shooting?
My understanding is the details of who the victims are still being ascertained, so I don't want to go ahead of law enforcement releasing these details. What they have said is that no law enforcement was injured, and so that's a natural inference, but I don't know the details.
Special Agent, can you talk a little bit about...
Not going to stop me from making a statement, though. But yeah, they have this and this. FBI reveals the Dallas ICE sniper left behind bullets with the text anti-ICE on him. 29-year-old Joshua John committed suicide after killing 2 detained illegal migrants. His profile picture on Facebook is of competence. The sheer incompetence from this administration is so obvious that I don't know. I don't think he knows who fucking Dylan Roof is. I don't think he knows. I totally believe that he is that stupid.
Roof, can you give me some more information?
You're head of the FBI, you probably know this. If you don't know, that's fine. Okay.
You can give me a reminder. I've got a lot in front of me.
It was national news. Dylan Roof, who followed...
God damn, he's so fucking stupid. We got absolute nutters leading. We got the